Good evening, and welcome to our fourth annual History Bowl. I'm Ann Goad, Chairman of the Brentwood Historic Commission, and we're glad you came to see these 6 schools go at it. So it should be really fun. I want to especially thank we have 2 school board members here. Ms. Pat Anderson, she's right here somewhere, yeah, and P.J. Mazzara. Thank you for coming. Also, right now, if you haven't turned off your cell phone, please do, or put it on silent. Okay, this has been a year of work for the Historic Commission. The Historic Commission is a volunteer board sponsored by the city, and we meet all year long. We have several projects, but this is one of our favorites. I want to introduce members of the board, and if you're in here, just kind of wave so everybody can see who you are. Tom Bain, Tom Carden, Arlene Cook, Carol Krieger, Holly Cummings. Ann Dunn is our city commissioner that sits on our board. Kathy Greaves, she's back in the corner. Sherry Hammond. Linda Lynch is the city public relations, community relations person, and she sits on our board as well. Ashley McAnulty, Chuck Sherrill, and Rachel Waterhouse. And we also have some other volunteers that are helping us out tonight, so this is really a cast of thousands. We're glad you're here. We want to explain that prizes will go to the top 3 teams. First place will get a $300 check for their school. Second place will get $200. Third place will get $100. And those 3 winning schools will also get a little goodie for their participants. We have passes, coupons from Sonic Drive-Ins and passes to Belmont Mansion. So all that aside, I want to bring in our host for this evening. He's been with us every year. He tries to make us look good. You may know him as the former anchor on News Channel 5, but now he's a college man. He's teaching at MTSU in the Mass Communications Department. Chris Clark.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is always an exciting event, and even more so now we have all the high schools involved. So, adults, I will give you one bit of advice. Do not try to keep up with the kids. Don't try to answer the questions. It will depress you as the night wears on. Just assume you know all the answers, and they were just lucky to get what they got. Let's bring on our teams now, high schools in alphabetical order. First of all, Brentwood High School, led by their coach, or their assistant coach. Gabe Evans is the coach at Brentwood High School. Introduce your team to us. Tell us a little bit something about each one of them.
All right. Well, first off, we have Mariah Reposarda. She is going to be our team captain for tonight. She's an excellent student. She's in my AP U.S. History class. Very, we'll say, outgoing student. Loves to be the center of attention, but has every right. So she's extremely excited tonight because she gets to wear her sparkly, shiny tennis shoes. And she's very happy about that because it puts her comfortable and ready to hopefully do very well. So we have
Take your seat. Thank you. Next.
We also have Angela Caprio, another one of my AP US students, an extremely intelligent student. Her favorite president is Mr. Rutherford B. Hayes. I only know that because we just did a Gilded Age magazine, and his picture was on every single page. So I'm just guessing that's her favorite, so we'll just go with that. And you're welcome for that. We have Anne-Marie Thompson, again, another student in my AP US History class. She is in the same class as Mariah and is one that has to often keep her and simmer her down a little bit because they both get a little bit excited, but she's another bright student, extremely ready. So we have Anne-Marie. And then last but definitely not least, we have Austin Houston. He is in my first period class, and it is always a pleasure for Austin to be there at 7:20 in the morning. He is usually the first one in there ready to go, and makes me a little jealous because he has awesome hair, and I obviously do not. But I won't hold that against him. He still makes very good grades even despite that. We have Austin as our last one.
Good. Let's have a round of applause for all these students. Very good. Very good. Centennial High School, come on down. And Centennial led by their coach, Daniel Cutzinger. And they have their team ready to go. I can see they're all pumped up. So, Coach, introduce your team to us.
I would be glad to.
Hold it up, I can hear you.
All right, very good. This is Letta Yee, and she's in one of my AP U.S. History classes, and she has a photographic memory, so beware. Yes, she does. She does. She has a photographic memory.
All right, take your seat. Go ahead, you take your seat.
This is TJ Couch, and TJ is in actually Mrs. Stice's AP U.S. History class, so he's not one of mine, but he's a great guy, has a really compassionate heart, wants to be a pastor. So anyway, it's been great to have him on the team.
All right, TJ, take your seat. You ready to go?
This is Alex Solomon, and he is in one of my AP classes, and Alex likes George Washington. That's his favorite president, so you can't go wrong with George Washington. No, not at all.
What the question, the answer is
George Washington.
That's it.
Right. So, anyway, that's our team.
Thank you. Let's hear it, Jefferson. Continue. Thank you very much. Okay, Franklin, come on down. Franklin High School, Coach Ray Sheets. Franklin, all right, we have fans from Franklin in the air. That's good. All right, Coach, introduce your team to us here.
Absolutely. Well, our team is comprised of seniors. First, we have our team captain, Kara Gilliam, who perhaps has more school spirit than anyone I've ever seen, and she is descended from William Bradford.
All right. Karen, take your seat.
And then we have Laura Catherine Feemster, who is in our IB History of the Americas class. She is a descendant, oddly enough, of both Robert E. Lee and Mary Todd Lincoln.
Whoa, all right. Those credentials, we're expecting a lot.
Next, we have Matthew Rutledge, a future architect who is descended from signers of both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. Yes. And then we have Eric Dunay, another senior, another future architect who's in both AP Government and Econ this year, and he is descended from what we assume was a fine European family.
All right, let's hear Franklin. Independence, come on down, Independence, let's go. Mike Ragland is the Independence coach, and he's brought a sterling team that I've spoken to all these kids a little bit. They're ready to rock and roll. So, Coach, introduce your team.
Thank you, sir. We have Elizabeth Roten. I've had the pleasure of teaching her 2 years, junior and senior year in 2 AP classes, and she'll be leaving us next year to go to wintry Minnesota to go to college. Thank you.
Take your seat.
Thank you. Quinn Curtis is next. Quinn participated in the National History Day last year and was a national winner with an exhibit on Helen Keller.
Thank you. Good.
Mr. Josiah Mesera, he is our storyteller. Loves history because of the stories that you can weave. He's in class with me in an AP U.S. History class. Every word, loves the stories.
Wow. Thank you.
Mr. Jonathan Collins, he is going back to my home state of Virginia to study at the Virginia Military Institute. Beautiful part of the state. I'm jealous and wish him well when he goes. So, Miss Alexandra Ryan, I too have had the pleasure of having her 2 years in class. She is our spark plug, without a doubt. Early in the morning, 7:25, raring to go. Grace Pickett. Grace is in my AP U.S. History class. She, too, approached me about the History Day and about this competition just because of a love for history and wants to eventually teach and do something with the subject. Mr. Matthew Pisani. What do I say about Matthew, but he's okay.
Let's hear it for Independence. Ravenswood, come on down. Here we go. Coach Andrew James who reminded me that he's been watching me on television since he was a little bitty boy, barely able to walk. Thank you. You made my day. No, that's a compliment. Andrew, tell me about your team.
All right. We got Nick Volcano right here. He's a junior. He is on the drum line at Ravenwood. He's a phenomenal drummer. He'll probably be famous one day as a drummer for some upcoming band. So really glad to have him on our team. So thank you, Nick.
Take a seat.
We got Chris DeCastro. When I first found out about Chris being on our team, everyone tried to tell me that his last name was Fidel Castro, which I said, that cannot be right. And so I've enjoyed getting to know Chris, very smart, and he's excited to be here and really loves history as well. So thank you, Chris. Got Ethan Riley, who is, you say biochemical engineering? Chemical engineering is what he wants to do. So he is way smarter than me. And so he is very, very smart. What's it, 35? 35 on the ACT. So he is quite the smart man. He has got a bright future. So thank you. And this is Adam Nelson. Adam is, I've gotten to know him a little bit more, I guess, because he's been kind of the one that rounded up and got some guys to, was kind of our big-time recruiter, finding the best and brightest for the History Bowl. And he is a guy, he's in the Model UN, and so he really has a love for doing things like this. So we're excited to have him on the team.
Ravenswood, let's have it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Coach. Okay, Summit, come on down. Here's Summit, led by Coach Jeffrey Graves, and they have a strong contingent with them, too. So, Coach, introduce your team. Tell us a little bit about them.
All right. This is Camden McNeely. Camden is an honor student at Summit as well as a member of the track team. And Camden is extremely good with dates, plus or minus about 2 months on each end. So then we have Matt. You can go. Have Matt Strong. Matt is also an honor student. He is a member of our track team as well as a National Merit semifinalist. And then we have Rylan Mears, who is an honor student and would like to be a history professor one day. Very bright student and an integral part of our team.
That's great, Coach. Thanks, and thank you, Summit. Okay, team members, for the first competition, come on up to the stadium, to the podium. There's no stadium here, I don't think. Not the last time I checked. Anyway, while they're getting set, let me introduce the person who will be asking the questions. Chuck Sherrill. Chuck? I drew a blank there. Chuck Sherrill is our state librarian and archivist, and he'll be answering the questions. So, Chuck, come on up here and get us started on our competition.
All right, thank you. All right, guys and ladies, you ready to do some history? The first round is called the Double Dare round, and let me give you a few instructions that will help you. When the question appears on the screen, you may ring in at any time, but don't begin answering until I finish reading the question and call on you. When you ring in, your green light will appear. So will each of you in turn press the button and make sure your green light comes on. There we go. Okay, Eric, good. All right, good, everybody's working. If the first person to ring in does not answer correctly, a subsequent person can ring in. To ring in the second time, you don't want to just hold your button down. You want to ring in by individual clicks because the system will reset, but we don't know exactly when it will reset. So be prepared to ring more than once, possibly. If the value of the first answer is of each answer in this round for the first answer is 100 points. If the first answerer is wrong and the second answerer is correct, the second answerer gets 200 points. If the second answerer is wrong and the third answerer is correct, they also get 200 points. If 3 of you strike out, we're going to stop with that question and I'm going to give it to you free. I think that's all you need to know. And if we'll put the board up on the screen. We're ready to go with the Double Dare round. And we will begin with the category AKA, Category 1. Who said, "I regret that I have but one life to give for my country"? All right, who's that? Brentwood.
Nathan Hale.
Correct, Brentwood for 100. Second, which president died several days after being shot in 1901? Franklin.
William McKinley.
Very good, 100 for Franklin. Next, the displacement journey of the Cherokees is referred to as what? Summit?
The Trail of Tears.
That's correct, 100 for Summit. Which president was praised as being first in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his countrymen?
Was it
Ravenwood.
Franklin Roosevelt?
Incorrect. Brentwood?
Washington.
Correct, George Washington. Remember what the host said? George Washington is always the right answer, even if that's not the question. So that's 200 for Brentwood. Next, who wrote the tract Common Sense, encouraging colonists to support the revolution?
Thomas
Franklin?
Paine.
Thomas Paine is correct for 100. Number 6, who killed President Jack Kennedy's assassin? Ravenwood.
Was it Jack White?
No, incorrect. Independence?
Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby is correct, 200 for Independence. Next question. Name one of the two founders of the very early Democratic-Republican Party. Summit.
Thomas Jefferson.
That is correct. The other was James Madison. Next, John Scopes was accused of what crime? Franklin?
Teaching evolution.
That's correct, 100 for Franklin. Next, who was the first African-American Major League Baseball player?
Jackie Robinson.
That's correct, 100 for Franklin. Next, to what does the expression yellow press refer? Ravenwood?
That is to twisting the story to make it cause war between countries.
I'll have to rule that incorrect. Franklin?
Sensationalist journalism.
That's correct, 200 for Franklin. Number 11, which early colony was founded as a refuge for Catholics?
Maryland.
Franklin? Maryland is correct, 100 for Franklin. Next, what Tennessee woman won 3 gold medals in the 1960 Olympics? Nobody want to give it a try? All right, the answer is Wilma Rudolph. Next, in which decade of the 19th century was electricity introduced as a source of light and power? Who's that? Ray Brentwood.
1880s.
The 1880s is correct. 100 for Brentwood. Next, in what industry did John D. Rockefeller make his fortune?
Oil.
Oil is correct, 100 for Franklin. Next, what early penal colony served as a buffer between the English and Spanish settlers? Summit?
Georgia.
Georgia is correct, for 100 for Summit. Next, what were the series of restrictions imposed on colonists following the Boston Massacre called? Brentwood?
The Intolerable Acts.
Yes, that's correct, 100 for Brentwood. Next, name the traitor who attempted to surrender West Point to the British.
Benedict Arnold.
The correct, 100 for Franklin. Next, where did the Battle of Bunker Hill take place? Ravenwood?
Outside New York on Beach Hill.
Incorrect, sorry. Franklin?
Breeds Hill.
Breeds Hill is correct, 200 for Franklin. Next, name the post-World War II policy of providing economic aid to war-torn Europe. Summit.
Marshall Plan.
The Marshall Plan is correct, 100 for Summit. Next, during the mid-19th century, the Grangers represented what group of people? Brentwood.
Farmers.
Farmers is right, 100 for Brentwood. Next, in 1948, who was the candidate surprisingly upset in the presidential race by Harry Truman?
Thomas
Franklin?
Dewey.
Thomas Dewey is correct, 100 for Franklin. Next, Louis Sullivan is the architect credited with developing which distinctly American style of architecture? Summit?
Colonial.
Incorrect. Franklin?
Plains style.
Sorry, would you repeat?
Plains style.
No, incorrect. Anybody else want to give it a try? Independence.
Modern.
Incorrect. Skyscrapers is the correct answer. He invented the skyscraper. Next, what former slave died during the Boston Massacre?
Crispus Attucks.
That's correct, Franklin, for 100. Next, what was the code name of the secret informant during the Watergate scandal? Franklin?
The plumbers.
Incorrect. Anyone else?
Deep throat.
Sorry, I already gave the
Yeah,
answer.
yeah.
Deep throat. Next, what was the early 20th century movement in African American literature and art known as?
Harlem
Franklin?
movement.
Say
The
again.
Harlem Renaissance.
That's correct, for 100. Next, what three-word phrase starts the preamble to the Constitution? Ravenwood.
people.
That's correct, for 100. William Randolph Hearst was significant in what field? Brentwood.
Journalism.
Journalism is right. Next, which explorer who sought the Northwest Passage later died mysteriously in Tennessee? Centennial?
Hudson.
Incorrect, sorry. Summit?
Daniel Boone.
Incorrect. This is a great story. You need to know this. All right. The answer is Meriwether Lewis. Down in Lewisburg. You know, they dug him up not long ago. Number 29. Which bird did Ben Franklin prefer as our national symbol over the eagle?
Turkey.
Brentwood? Brentwood's a turkey, 100. Number 30. What system was used in Virginia to encourage immigration by giving 50 acres of land to any settler who paid the passage for a laborer? Ravenwood.
Indentured servant.
That is correct, but we're looking for the name of the system, so I'm sorry I can't rule correct on that. Brentwood.
Indentured servitude.
No, I'm sorry, that's not what we're looking for. Anybody else want to give it a try? It has to do with the land ownership.
Primogeniture?
No, sorry, that's not right either, independence. The correct answer is the headright system. You've all heard of it, right?
Yeah.
Next, name the English Protestants who not only wanted to cleanse the Church of England, but to reform English society and came to America to set up a model community. Ravenwood.
The Pilgrims.
That's correct. I'm sorry, incorrect.
Puritans.
Who said that? Centennial, yes, you're right. Next, what were mostly young immigrants called who worked under a contract for a period of years in exchange for passage to America? Independence?
servant.
Very good. Next, name the adventurer who instituted military discipline and perhaps saved Jamestown. Brentwood.
Smith.
Yes, that's correct, John Smith. Next, name the colonial law allowing freedom of worship for Christians in Maryland.
Religious
Franklin?
Tolerance Act of 1649.
That'll do, thank you. Name the New York newspaper editor tried for seditious libel for a written attack on a royal governor. Franklin?
John Petersinger.
Correct, for 100. Whose signature was the largest on the Declaration of Independence and why? Ravenwood?
John Hancock's, because he didn't want to be forgotten.
Not quite. Close, but not quite. Brentwood?
John Hancock, so the king could see it without his spectacles on.
Exactly, thank you. It's one of those stories. It's good to know. Who was the first governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony? Franklin?
William Bradford.
That's correct. No, I'm sorry, incorrect.
No.
If you'd asked me, I would have said William Bradford. But anybody else want to give it a try? It's John Winthrop. Next, what act allowed two territories to determine that upon entering the Union, one would be free and one would be slave? Ravenwood?
The Missouri Compromise.
That's incorrect, sorry. Franklin?
Kansas-Nebraska Act.
That's correct, 200 for Franklin. What fiery abolitionist was hanged for leading an insurgent slave rebellion against government forces at Harper's Ferry?
John Brown.
That's correct, 100 for Franklin. And finally, the last question of the round. Name the Virginia settler who introduced Pocahontas to Europe.
John Smith.
I'm sorry, Independence, that's not correct.
John
Centennial.
Rolfe.
John Rolfe, that's right, who married her. He also, by the way, introduced Europe to Pocahontas, just so you'll know.
Let's have a round of applause for our first team. Really good. Okay, now while we're changing teams, let's have team number 2 up here now. Team number 2, come on up. while they're taking their seats, the judges are adding up their scores. Oh, found some keys on the floor. Who's missing a car key? I may want to trade up, so if nobody claims it, I want to put it. I'll give it to Ann Goad. I guess, Ann, this is what we found on the floor. Somebody belongs to that. 100 points. Yeah, 100 points. 100 points. All right. I think we're ready. You want to announce our scores? Yeah. Well, I think we may have something here for you. So bring us up to date and get the next round started.
All right. Trying to get these in alphabetical order like a good librarian. Okay, the score for that round, for the Double Dare round for Brentwood, was 1,000 points. The score for Centennial, 400. The total for Franklin, 1,900. For Independence, 300. For Ravenwood, 100. And for Summit, 400. All right, so the winner of that round was Franklin with 1,900. But in this round, the stakes are doubled, so you have a chance to make money faster. And just as with the previous round, if the first answer is wrong, another team may ring in and get double the points. Each correct answer on the first try is worth 200. On the second try is worth 400. So this is the Double Dog Dare round. Are you ready to begin? All right, here we go. Number 1, who, after banishment from the Massachusetts Bay Colony, founded Rhode Island as a colony for religious freedom? Franklin?
Roger Williams.
That is correct for 100. Next.
200.
I'm sorry, for 200. That was a discount question. Next, who is the prominent humanitarian who helped found the colony of Georgia? Ravenwood?
Oglethorpe.
That is correct for 200. Name the states' rights principle supported by John C. Calhoun, which said states could refuse to abide by federal law.
Nullification.
Franklin, or 100. Yes, that's right. 200. I only want to give you 100. Sorry. Next, how many colonies were named after kings and queens? It's a toughie. Brentwood.
1.
Incorrect. Centennial.
2.
Incorrect. Ravenwood.
4.
Incorrect. Okay, let's think about it. The answer I have is 5, but I'm not sure which ones they are. There's, of course, Virginia, Carolina, Maryland, Georgia. What other one?
North and South Carolina.
South Carolina. Trick question. All right, next. Longfellow, in his ballad, The Courtship of Miles Standish, tells of the love triangle of which 3 pilgrims? Brentwood.
Abigail, oh my goodness, Elizabeth.
No, sorry. Not correct. Anybody know? This is another one of those stories you ought to have heard. The 3 were Miles Standish, John Alden, and Priscilla Mullins. And the phrase, speak for yourself, John, comes from that story. If you don't know it, look it up. Next, what scandal was Gerald Ford referencing when he said, our long national nightmare is over? Ravenwood?
Watergate.
That's correct for 100. 200, sorry. What short-lived political party was primarily formed to oppose immigration, mainly of Germans and Irish Catholics? Centennial.
Nativist.
No, that's not right. Independence.
The Know Nothing Party?
That is correct for 200. Next, what was the name of the master plan devised to squeeze the Confederacy to defeat?
The Anaconda
Franklin.
Plan.
The Anaconda Plan is right, and I'll give you 200 for that one.
Thank you.
Next, what famous 1858 debate focused mainly on slavery? Ravenwood?
Lincoln-Douglas debate.
The Lincoln-Douglas debate, that's right, for 200. Which president was the first to have a female cabinet member? Brentwood?
Wasn't it George W. Bush?
No, it was prior to that. Franklin?
Reagan.
Incorrect. Ravenwood?
Nixon.
Incorrect. I have to go back further than that. Franklin Roosevelt, Francis Payne Bolton was the cabinet member. Next, what is the minimum age requirement for the House of Representatives? Franklin?
25.
That is correct for 200. You're almost ready. What British legislation first spurred the phrase, no taxation without representation? Brentwood?
The, oh my gosh, the Tea Act.
No, unfortunately. Summit?
Stamp Act.
The Stamp Act is correct for 400. Against which ideology was the Truman Doctrine directed? Centennial?
Communism.
That's correct, 200 for Centennial. What federal workers were fired by Ronald Reagan after 13,000 of them went out on strike in 1981? Ravenwood?
Post office.
No, sorry. Ah, got you there. The correct answer is air traffic controllers. Next, which early president was wounded twice and then killed a man in duels? Brentwood?
Andrew Jackson.
That is right, for 200. Next, 4 cents an acre or $16 million was the price of what? Brentwood?
The Louisiana Purchase.
Correct, for 200. Next, who commanded the Union Army at the Battle of Franklin? Oh my goodness. He's not much talked about, but it was General John Schofield. What Scottish-born father of the American Navy is famous for saying, "I have not yet begun to fight"? Franklin?
John Paul Jones.
Yes, that's right, for 200. Which Tennessee conscientious objector received the Congressional Medal of Honor for heroism in World War I? No, World War I is correct. Summit?
Alvin York.
That is correct. Next, what was the only paved road in Williamson County during the Civil War? Franklin?
Franklin Road.
That
That's
is
now
correct.
Highway 31.
Yes. They didn't call it that then. All right. Name one of the 2 chiefs of the Sioux Nation credited with the defeat of Custer at the Battle of Little Bighorn. Brentwood?
Chief Joseph.
No, that's incorrect. Ravenwood?
Sitting Bull.
Sitting Bull is one. Anybody know the other? Crazy Horse. There you go. Good. Sorry, no extra points allowed. Next, which founding father, when asked after the Constitutional Convention whether we have a monarchy or a republic, replied, "A republic if you can keep it"? Ravenwood?
James Madison.
Incorrect. Brentwood?
Ben Franklin.
Ben Franklin is right for 400. Who was the youngest member of the committee to draft the Declaration of Independence? Centennial?
James Madison.
Incorrect. Who was that? Brentwood?
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson is correct for 400. Who led a rebellion in late 17th century Virginia against Lord Berkeley? Brentwood?
Nathaniel Bacon.
That is correct, 200. Name the famous political cartoonist who is said to be responsible for turning donkeys and elephants into symbols of the 2 principal political parties. Franklin?
Nast.
Nast is right for 200. What 1823 policy stated that any act of European attempt to colonize or interfere on American soil would be considered an act of aggression? Centennial?
Monroe Doctrine.
The Monroe Doctrine is correct, 200. Which president founded the American Bison Society to try to bring the species back from extinction? Brentwood?
Teddy Roosevelt.
Sounds like Teddy. You got it, 200. From the end of the Civil War to the early 20th century, more than 20 million cattle ended up in the stockyards of which city? Ravenwood?
Chicago.
Chicago is correct, 200. Name the farm animal that legend says sparked the longest-running feud in America between the Hatfields and the McCoys. Brentwood?
Pigs.
A pig is correct. Name this man-made waterway completed in 1825, which was America's first major transportation system. Ravenwood?
Erie Canal.
That's correct, 200. Name this structure spanning the Colorado River, which, when completed in the 1930s, was the highest in the world? Ravenwood?
Hoover Dam.
The Hoover Dam is correct for 200. Who was the famous little man, only 25 inches tall, who introduced to both Queen Victoria and Lincoln and featured in P.T. Barnum's circus? Independence?
Bailey?
No. Nobody else wants to guess? Tom Thumb, General Tom Thumb. Name the first English child born in the New World. Brentwood.
Virginia, she was born on the Mayflower.
Virginia. You know what? Well, let's see. Anybody else ringing in? Independence?
Virginia Dare?
Yes, I'll give it to Independence. That's 400 then for Independence. In what battle did John Sevier and the Tennessee militia help defeat British loyalists? Brentwood?
Battle of Concord.
No, not that one.
I don't know.
Franklin?
Battle of Kings Mountain.
Very good, 400. Good Tennessee question. Lost my place here. Name this famous newspaper publisher who launched a pennies campaign to raise funds to erect the Statue of Liberty pedestal and has an award named after him. Franklin?
Pulitzer.
Pulitzer is right. What was the quickest means of communication between the Atlantic and the Pacific from April 1860 to October 1861? Centennial.
Telegram?
Incorrect. Anyone else? The Pony Express. Sorry, beat you to it. What was the name given to this exciting decade of prosperity, jazz, speakeasies, and wild youth? Ravenwood?
The Roaring Twenties.
Yes. Good for 200. While the Women's Christian Temperance Union advocated for many ideals, what was it most widely known for? Ravenwood?
Prohibition.
Correct. 200 for Ravenwood. What organization was proposed by Woodrow Wilson as part of his 14-point plan to resolve international disputes? Franklin?
The League of Nations.
Yes, that's correct, for 200. Name the British general defeated at the Battle of Yorktown. Ravenwood.
Cornwallis.
Excellent. 200 for Ravenwood, and that closes out the double dog dare round.
Very good job. All right, number 3 team, come on up. Number 3 team, come on up, and we'll have another round. Meanwhile, while they're coming up, the judges are really watching. Me and about 3 or 4 other adults, when we got to that air traffic controller's question, we're reaching for a buzzer. We just didn't have one to buzz. Oh, my golly, that's one we know. We remember that one. But, okay, good job by all. And the scores are being collected, so Mr. Moderator, if you'll collect them here and let us know who's number 1 and number 2 and so forth. We'll get on with the next round of questions. Oh, whoa, we got one more to go, Billy. Yeah. All right.
All right. The scores in that round were 1,800 points for Brentwood, 400 points for Centennial, 2,200 points for Franklin, 600 points for Independence, 2,200 points for Ravenwood, and 600 points for Summit. So the cumulative scores now are Brentwood, 2,800, Centennial, 800, Franklin, 4,100, Independence, 900, Ravenwood, 2,300, and Summit, 1,000. But now, in the Jeopardy round, you have a chance to earn money faster. Not money, points. Sorry, didn't mean to get your hopes up. All right, and we will begin with the top right-hand side. Do we get a grid on the board? There we go. We'll begin with the AKA, also known as category, for 100. The first person to ring in will get, golly, I've forgotten how many points. These points are The points according to the grid, that's right. Sorry, I'm rusty tonight. And then you can ring in if the first answer is wrong. The second answer can ring in, but the point value will remain the same. All right, first question, AKA for 100. William Cody, former Army Scout and Pony Express rider, is best known by what stage name? Stumped you on the first question out of the gate. Buffalo Bill is the correct answer. All right, we'll go with AKA for 200. Mary Mallon, who spent most of her adult life in quarantine because New York authorities thought she was a disease carrier, was also known as whom? Mary, disease. All right, Typhoid Mary. All right. Okay, let's try Retail America for 100. What is the very popular beverage having its origins in Georgia as a patent medicine? Franklin?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola is correct for 100. And you get to choose the next category.
Foreign influence for 100.
Foreign influence for 100. Which two immigrant groups provided most of the labor for the building of the Transcontinental Railroad? Independents?
Irish immigrants and Chinese immigrants.
That is correct for 100 points. And you get to choose the next.
Oh, brilliant. Foreign influence, 200.
Foreign influence for 200. By what name do we refer to the descendants of the Acadians who, after being exiled from Canada, settled primarily in the American South, particularly Louisiana? Summit.
Cajuns.
Cajuns is correct. That was for 200, and choose the next category.
Foreign influence for 300.
Foreign influence for 300. What American city was designed by French-born architect and civil engineer Pierre L'Enfant?
New Orleans.
Incorrect. Who's that? Summit.
Washington.
Washington, D.C. is correct. That would be for 300. And choose again.
Foreign influence for 400, please.
Foreign influence, 400. Who was the Dutch colonial governor who purchased the island of Manhattan from the Native Americans? I wouldn't have known that either, I'll have to tell you. The answer is Peter Stuyvesant, or Stuyvesant, depending on how you pronounce. All right. Summit.
Foreign influence for 500.
Foreign influence for 500. What building design was brought to America by the Swedes and the Finns? Independence?
Probably wrong, but the stave style?
No, that's not correct. Worth a shot, though. Summit?
Log cabin.
The log cabin is correct. So that's 500 for Summit. And select again.
Old time religion for 100, please.
Old time religion for 100. Name the late 17th century events described as one of the most notorious cases of mass hysteria based on false accusations.
Salem witch trials.
The Salem witch trials, correct. 100 for Summit. Select again.
Old time religion for 200.
Which amendment guarantees freedom of religion? Franklin.
The First Amendment.
The First Amendment is correct. Select again, Franklin.
Old time religion for 300.
All right. Which religious sect was dominant in the colony founded as a, quote, holy experiment? Independence?
Brandover District in New York?
No, that is not what we're looking for.
Oh, sorry.
Franklin?
Was it the Quakers in Pennsylvania?
Yes, the Quakers is correct. That's 300 for Franklin. Select again, Franklin.
Old time religion for 400.
To what religious sect did Jonathan Edwards, a theologian and leader of the First Great Awakening, belong? Franklin?
The Puritans.
Sorry, I have to look. Yes, that is correct. So that's 400 for Franklin, and select again.
Old time religion for 500.
All right. Before being discredited, what form of religion by the 1890s made wide use of mediums and seances?
Voodoo.
Summit.
Voodoo?
No, incorrect. All right, the correct answer is spiritualism. All right, let's see. I think Franklin had the last correct answer, so select again.
You go girl for 100.
All right. Good choice. Which First Lady is credited with saving the portrait of George Washington after the British set fire to the White House in 1814? Independence?
Dolly Madison?
That is correct. Although I understand that's being disproved, but it really makes a great story.
That's true.
Select again, Independence.
I like this. Let's go You Go Girl for 200.
All right. What did Civil War nurse Clara Barton found? Franklin?
The American Red Cross.
Yes, that's correct. Select again, Franklin.
You Go Girl for 300.
All right. Who at age 32 was the first female astronaut? Nobody? Sally Ride. Franklin, select again.
You Go Girl for 400.
All right. Who was the first woman appointed to the United States Supreme Court? Brentwood?
Sandra Day O'Connor.
Yes, that's right, for 400. We have a Sandra Day O'Connor fan or a Brentwood fan. I'm not sure which. All right, select again, Brentwood.
You Go Girl 500.
All right. For which position was Geraldine Ferraro the first female nominee by a major political party? Franklin.
Is that Democratic Party?
Question is
Oh.
the position. Brentwood.
Vice President.
Vice President is right. 500 for Brentwood. Select again.
AKA 300.
Brave girl. Okay. Anna Marie Robertson, who won acclaim in her 70s as an American artist, is best known as whom? Independence?
Madonna.
We'll give you 5 points for creativity.
Thank you. I deserve that.
Anybody else want to guess? Artist, 70s. Nope, Grandma Moses. Okay, let's see. I think Brentwood had the last correct answer.
AKA 400.
American-born Iva Toguri, whose World War II soothing radio voice spread anti-American propaganda to U.S. troops, was tried, sentenced for treason, and best known as whom? This category was hard, evidently. Correct answer, Tokyo Rose. And Brentwood, you want to finish it off?
Yes.
All right. Let's kill it off. Elizabeth Jane Cochrane, famous as a groundbreaking reporter for women in journalism, wrote under what pen name? Franklin?
Ida Tarbell.
Good guess, but not correct. Anybody else? Nellie Bly. All right. Brentwood, select again.
200.
200 for Retail America. What worldwide manufacturer of farming and lawn equipment was begun by a blacksmith of the same name, et cetera, et cetera?
John Deere.
Summit.
John Deere.
Correct. 200 for Summit. Select again.
Retail America for 300.
All right, 300. What now defunct department store first gave Americans a chance to catalog shop from home? Brentwood?
Sears.
Incorrect. No? Guess it's been a long time ago now. Oh, Franklin?
J.C. Penney. I don't know.
No. That wasn't Nordstrom's either, but it was Montgomery Ward. All right. Shall we go to 400, Brentwood? Oh, who was last? I'm sorry. Independence. No, it wasn't. Franklin, okay.
Retail
400?
America for 400.
All right. What clothing brand was begun by a Jewish peddler in San Francisco making sturdy pants for miners? Independence?
Levi's.
Correct. So that's 400 for Independence. And the last question, what bread, still popular, made its first U.S. appearance in 1921 as one of the first pre-sliced breads? Franklin?
Is that Wonder Bread?
Wonder Bread is correct. 500 for Franklin. Good job, everybody.
All right, team number 5, come on down. Team number 5. The pressure's on. You staying up here, Matt? Oh, that's right. Yeah, don't get your microphone. Attach it to your tie and then wherever. You ready? How many of you guessed so far? How many of you gotten right? 50. Like 80%? At least, huh? All right. Chuck, I think we're ready to go with the with some final tallies. Some of the kids were telling me they knew about 80% of the last one. Is that a good figure to use, guys? Maybe a little less than that? Okay, somebody, okay. Well, I think the questions get harder here. So I think if we're out of the, I was reminded by a member of the Historic Commission, we've been doing this for so many years now that we've really run out of the easy questions. So you're the lucky ones who have to get the harder questions that we can think of. Okay. Yeah, okay, very good.
All right, in that round, Brentwood earned 900 more points. Centennial did not add to their score. Franklin earned 1,700 points. Independence earned 600. Ravenwood did not add to their score. And Summit earned 1,300. So cumulatively, Brentwood is at 3,700. Centennial is at 800. Franklin is at 5,800. Independence is at 1,500. Ravenwood is at 2,300. And Summit is also at 2,300. And now, this will be the double Jeopardy round, in which, as you can see, the values of the questions are twice what they were. And we'll begin with technology for 200. Name one of the two people considered most responsible for the first mass marketing of personal computers. Ravenwood?
Bill Gates.
Incorrect. Centennial.
Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak?
That's correct. You got both of them, but I can only give you 200.
Oh.
Guess again, Centennial.
X marks the spot for 200.
All right. X for 200. Where did Lee surrender to Grant? Independence.
Courthouse.
That is correct. 200 for Independence.
Civil
Select
War
again.
for 200.
Civil War. What effect did the Emancipation Proclamation have on slaveholders in the border states? Brentwood.
It freed the slaves in the seceded territories.
No, that's incorrect. Ravenwood?
It didn't free their slaves.
That's correct. It had no effect in the border states, only in the seceded states.
Civil War 400.
All right, Civil War 400. Name the Union victory in Mississippi. Lincoln announced by saying, "The Father of Waters now flows unvexed into the sea." Summit?
Vicksburg.
Yes, that's correct.
Civil War for 600, please.
All right. Robert E. Lee's withdrawal from Maryland after the Battle of Antietam had what effect on potential foreign allies? Brentwood?
They withdrew their support for the South.
Yes, essentially that's correct. So that's 600 for Brentwood. Guess again, Brentwood.
Hear ye for 200.
All right. For 200. Who served as both a president and a Supreme Court justice? Brentwood? Yeah, him.
Taft.
Very good. All right, 200 for Brentwood. And select again.
Hear ye for 400.
All right. Which president was accused of trying to pack the court by expanding its size? Centennial?
John Adams.
Incorrect.
Roosevelt.
Franklin? Which
Roosevelt.
one?
Franklin Delano.
Yes, very good. So 400 for Franklin. And guess again, Franklin.
X marks the spot for 400.
X for 400. What happened in the Texas School Book Depository building? Brentwood?
An explosion?
No. Well, maybe, but that's not what we're looking for. Anyone else? Huh. That is from the point from which Lee Harvey Oswald shot President Kennedy. I guess you had to be alive in the 60s. Let's see, did you have the last correct answer?
No, someone else.
Who was it? Franklin? Franklin? Okay, select Franklin.
Hear ye for 600.
Hear ye for 6. Name the eccentric saloon keeper, Justice of the Peace, who called himself the law west of the Pecos and was called a hanging judge. Brentwood?
Marshall, Chief Justice Marshall.
No, not correct. Anybody else want to guess? Okay. He now has a restaurant in Brentwood. It's Judge Roy Bean. All right, Franklin, select again.
Hear ye for 800.
Hear ye for 8. Originally, the law called for how many Supreme Court justices to serve? Brentwood.
It did not have a limit.
No, that's not correct. Anybody else? Franklin?
6.
6 is correct. 800 for Franklin. Select again.
A little of this and a little of that for 200.
A little of this for 200. What principle or doctrine was the basis for having 3 branches of government?
Checks and balances.
Incorrect, sorry. Centennial?
Separation of powers.
That is the correct answer. 200 for Centennial. Select again. Centennial.
Oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that for 400.
All right, 400. Who was the last British monarch to rule America?
King George
Summit.
III.
That is correct. Guess again, Summit.
A little of this and all that for 600.
All right, 600. Who originally chose U.S. senators prior to the passage of the 17th Amendment in 1912? Franklin?
The House of Representatives.
No, incorrect.
State legislatures.
That's correct. Summit, 600. All right, Summit, select again.
A little of this, a little of that for 800.
All right, 800. How many amendments are in the U.S. Constitution? Centennial?
27.
27 is correct for 800. Next, select again, Centennial.
X marks the spot for 600.
Right. In what building and in which city were the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution debated and approved?
Independence Hall.
Brentwood?
Independence Hall.
In what city?
Philadelphia.
Correct. 600 for Brentwood. Select Brentwood.
Hear ye for 1,000.
All righty. Which Supreme Court Chief Justice presided over a pro-states' rights court and delivered the majority opinion in the Dred Scott case? Brentwood?
Marshall.
Incorrect. What's your favorite answer? Centennial?
Roger Towney.
Roger Taney is correct, yes. So that's 1,000 for Centennial. Select again, Centennial.
Technology for 600.
Technology for 6. What type of technology was funded in 1838 when Congress appropriated $30,000 to build a line from Washington to Baltimore? Summit?
The telegraph.
Yes, that's right, for 600. For Summit, select again.
Technology for 400.
Technology, 400. What invention increased production and is said to have prolonged slavery?
Cotton gin.
Brentwood, cotton gin is correct for 400. Select again, Brentwood.
A little bit of this and a little bit of that.
4,000.
Yeah.
What were Franklin Roosevelt's radio talks with the nation called? Centennial?
Fireside chats.
That's correct. It's a good thing you knew that after you rang in. For 1,000. All right, select again, Centennial.
X marks the spot for 800.
All right, 800. After seeing the view from what spot in Colorado did Catherine Lee Bates write America the Beautiful? Centennial?
Pikes Peak.
Pikes Peak is correct for 800. Select again. Centennial.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Technology for 800.
All right. Technology for 8. Elias Howe's invention of this not only helped homemakers, but led to the creation of jobs for women in factories. Centennial.
The Singer machine, threading machine.
Sorry?
The Singer machine, the sewing machine.
Sewing machine is correct for 800. Select again.
Civil War for 800.
All right, Civil War, 800. Which state in 1866 was the only Confederate state to ratify the 14th Amendment? Summit?
Tennessee.
Tennessee is correct. Select again, Summit.
Civil War for 1,000.
Right. Which Civil War general was known as Tardy George because he was overly cautious about ordering his troops into battle? Summit?
McClellan.
McClellan is correct. 1,000 for Summit.
X marks the spot for 1,000.
X for 1,000. Where did the assault on Little Round Top, one of the bloodiest of the war, take place?
The Battle of Gettysburg.
Independence, Battle of Gettysburg, correct for 1,000. And the final question, technology for 1,000. What is the name of the first satellite launched by the U.S. to compete with the Russian Sputnik launched earlier? Brentwood?
The
Time.
Independence.
Sorry, that's incorrect. Anyone else? Explorer 1. All right, that concludes the double Jeopardy round. Good work.
All right, very good. Now, the next set, come on down. Those of you who are participating in this, this is the final round we're getting into, right? Right here. So you might notice a little bit different configuration as they move into their places. Meanwhile, let me introduce the principals of all the high schools and Those principals who are here, if you're here, if you'll stand up. And if you're not, we'll just recognize you by stating your name. So, Brentwood High School, Principal Kevin Kydell, is he here? Okay, very good. Represented, good. Centennial, President Lee Webb, is represented from Centennial here. Franklin, Principal Willie Dickerson. Yay, right, okay, good. Principal. Independence, Dr. Todd Campbell. Dr. Campbell. Ravenswood, Principal Dr. Pam Vaden. There he is, she is. Good to have you with us, good to have you with us. And Summit, Principal Dr. Charles Farmer. Yay. All right. All right, there's a base fan club here, I can tell that for sure. Okay, the moderator will explain to you how this is scored. So now we get down to some real nitty gritty. Guys, so far, let me just ask you this. Ethan, I was asking you, can you step up here? Has this been harder, easier, about what you expected?
This round, Double Jeopardy was harder than what I thought, but yeah.
How many questions, basically, can everybody agree that they knew the answers to percentage-wise? About 50, 80, 90, 100?
27 points.
About 80? 80. Everybody can agree on 80. Some saying 50. I won't say who said 50. We won't go there. I'll protect you. I will never mention your name, Jonathan, to anybody, no matter how they it will not be mentioned. Are we ready? Okay. Oh, Pam Vaden is here. Didn't we recognize? Yeah, we recognized her. Yes. Yeah. I thought you looked familiar. I looked up at you. I know she is.
All right, here are the scores from that round. The Double Jeopardy round. Brentwood scored an additional 1,800 points. Centennial scored 4,800 points. Franklin scored 1,200 points. Independence scored 1,200 points. Ravenwood scored 200. And Summit scored 3,800. So here are the cumulative scores at this point. Brentwood has 5,500. Centennial has 5,600. Franklin has 7,000. Independence has 2,700. Ravenwood has 2,500. And Summit has 6,100. So if I've got this right, let me read those numbers again, because on this round, you can wager any or all of the current number of points that you have. I need you to agree on your wager, to write it on the piece of paper provided, and then to set it upside down up on the edge of the desk next to the sign for your school. I'll read those points again. Brentwood has 5,500, Centennial 5,600, Franklin 7,000, Independence 2,700, Ravenwood 2,500, and Summit 6,100. So let's reveal the category on which you'll be making your wager. Can we do that? Or do I just tell you? Okay. The category is international achievements. Okay. So determine your wager and put your wager amount upside down on the edge of the table. Sorry?
The one that says amount risked.
Amount risked. Okay, Centennial, we're waiting on you. All right, thank you. Okay, are you ready? Now I'm going to ask you the question. You'll have the time while the think music plays to write your answer on the paper provided, and then we will have each of you reveal your wager and your answer. The final Jeopardy question is, after a failed attempt by the French, what critically important project was undertaken and completed by the U.S. over a 10-year period, despite enormous challenges posed by geography and disease? All right, everyone, please stop writing. And I want to say before we reveal your wagers and answers that the judges, the scorekeepers that we have here who have helped with the timing and preparation of your scores have been critical to the success of this evening. We want to say thank you to all of those who helped. And I'd also like to take the privilege of acknowledging our heads of this whole event, who have been Tom Bain and Ann Dunn of the Historical Commission. They have done an excellent job. Both former teachers, so they know how to make kids miserable. All right, let's start with Brentwood. What is the, sorry?
Yeah, am I supposed to unveil these?
He's going to tell you the wagers.
Oh, okay, great.
All right, we start here with Summit. They wagered 6,100 points. They're all in. 6,100 points. Their answer is, don't give the answer. Okay, you're all in, guys. Good luck to you. They rolled the dice on that one. Okay, Ravenwood is all in with 2,500 points. Ravenwood, okay. Let's see where this goes. Independence, 2,700 points. All in. They're all in too. Okay. I see a trend developing here. Franklin, you're all in too, aren't you? No, 5,500. So they're being a little conservative. 5,500, they're not going to go all in. That's right, your score was high. All right. Let's see, Centennial, what are you doing? 5,600 for all in. This is where the rubber meets the road. God, I hate cliches. They're a dime a dozen. I don't know why I use them. All right. All right. Oh, that's the answer. I don't want to do that one. I want to do this one. 1,500 points. Brentwood, being a little conservative here, holding on to what they've got. All right. That's it, Mr. Moderator. We now know what they're wagering.
All right. So you're going to reveal their answers?
Okay, I'll reveal their answers. Panama Canal.
That is the correct answer.
That is the correct answer. See a lot of relief up here. Panama Canal for Ravenwood. Independence goes with Panama Canal. We have to go a long way to stump this bunch here. Okay. Oh, you got it? Panama? No. Don't say it out loud. It looks like Maybell. I don't know what that is. Maybel. Is that? It's not a thing. I think we'd agree with you that. No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Panama Canal. Okay. Okay. This is it. Panama Canal. So that's where we are.
All right. Oh, I think we can all probably do the math, but we'll let the scorekeepers.
Yeah, let's make it official, I guess. We'll go to the official bean counters and let them come up with the correct answer. Thank you.
Well, as you can see, I meant to ask earlier, how many of you contestants are regular watchers of Jeopardy? Anybody? A few, good. I would normally be home watching Jeopardy right now if I weren't here. So, as you know, if you watch that show, the wagering in Final Jeopardy and your ability to answer that question can sometimes turn things upside down, which has been our case here this evening. So I'll read from the bottom up. Franklin ended up with a final score of 1,500. Independence with a final score of 5,400. Whoop. I got a little bit out of order. Ravenwood, a final score of 5,000. Brentwood, a final score of 7,000. Centennial, a final score of 11,200. And our winner tonight is Summit with a score of 12,200.
All in paid off there. All right, good strategy, guys. I'd like a round of applause for Chuck Sherrill, our host. It's always good to have him here. He has such a calming voice that you really feel comfortable listening to him. It's a shame you had to go into academia because you could have made a great television newscaster. You know it? You really could have. Now let's bring up Ann Goad. Ann really does a lot of work on this. If history holds true, if I did a fair job tonight, she will be on the phone in about 6 days with the date of next year's plan, asking me if I'm ready to co-host it for her. Ann Goad, let's give a round of applause for Ann. She did a lot of work on this, Ann.
Well, I think this was a fun thing of changing over back and forth, and everybody gave it a good shot. We'd like to ask the coach and the rest of the Summit team to come up. And the principal, yes, absolutely. We'll let them get their triumphant picture. And our second and third place teams, will you come down, and your coaches and principal if they're here? Brentwood, thank you so much for participating. And as I said, there will be a check sent to your school for first, second, and third place. And also for you students who did such a good job, you're going to get passes to Belmont Mansion and a gift card from Sonic Drive-Ins. We really appreciate not only those two people for giving us in-kind sponsorship, but we also have sponsors to thank: Boyle Investment Company, Brentwood Homepage, Mary Lee Bunch and Associates, Chick-fil-A of Brentwood, Arlene and Bruce Cook, Tamlin and Kelly Derryberry, Land Rover of Nashville, and Sonic Drive-Ins. And of course, we thank all of you for coming, all the schools for participating, and hope you'll be back for another round next year.